Oh, hi, and welcome to Dawncast Podcast. I'm Dai Lee,
And I'm Kathy Ngor.
and we're here with the wonderful Maria Tran.
Hello.
Welcome. Hi, Maria.
As you know, Dawncast Podcast, what we try to do is bring you information to keep you informed about what's happening in the world, in our community, and make it an insightful conversation without triggering any kind of trauma to our community and our the public, in particular in this time of COVID-19. Maria, as many of you probably know, our viewers out there, is an amazing actress in our community, martial artist, and many a talented woman. And I just thought I'd reach out to Maria to come in and share with us some of the experience she's had lately in terms of COVID-19. But more generally speaking, we want to talk about humanity and at this point in time in that we're living in. But before we get to that, I think Maria can just tell us. I saw this post that you did the other day on Facebook talking about you went to the supermarket wearing a mask. Can you please share that?
Yes. I mean, I thought it was another normal day, right? Going to the supermarket, wearing a mask, buying your groceries. But on this particular day, like as I was walking past this mother...
Can I just clarify that it's a face mask, not a clown mask?
Yes, it's one of those surgical masks.
Okay, just checking.
Like everyone's wearing it, all over the world. It's quite normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going to just the local supermarket, and then I hear a kid saying, "Mum, I think she's got corona." And I kind of looked over and I was
The
like...
kid Bogan?
Well, I felt like he was bogan, or I feel like maybe racist people are bogan. Well, maybe I'm stereotyping.
Because you're like,
I don't
"Kid,
know.
she's got
But
corona."
that's what I heard, and that's
Oh,
what I can
God.
remember, and that's what I'm going to mimic. and then I looked over, and I'm like, well, he's a cute little kid. What can I do? You know what? I'll just let it go.
Yeah.
And then he just turns, and the mum's just ignoring. She's kind of not looking at me. And then the kid's like, corona, corona. And I was just like, I can't believe this. This kid is like, chanting my new name or something.
Oh my God.
And then after that, I sort of looked at him like empathetically because he's
Yeah.
a kid. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, maybe kids don't understand this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then I looked at the mum, and the mum's just like, "Oh, it's okay. She'll go soon. She'll leave soon. Just she's not looking at us, And I'm like, oh man, like I just did not know what I experienced. And I think at that moment, I felt like if I'm experiencing this, what about all the other, people, Asians, that are experiencing this at all different levels across the world? I mean, I didn't think I would have experienced it because I'm a martial artist, but this time around I have, and I didn't know what to do. At that moment, I felt quite disempowered.
Yep.
And I thought, you know what? Maybe I should just post it, like share my experience and see if there's any other people out there who have a similar experience. And I
Yeah.
realized a lot of people do. I was actually quite astounded the amount of people out there that had some level of form of experience of racism. And sometimes we think, is it really racism or is it in our heads? And that's what I felt.
It's interesting times we're living in, isn't it? And I think your story really, for me, made me think about what kind of conversations or what kind of things can we share with our audience, and how can we inform them and give them an insight into the impact, not only in terms of COVID-19 having on the health, the fear in the community, but on the psychological impact as well. I read that and I thought, I wonder how Maria felt, because you're a very confident woman. You're out there, like you said, in martial arts.
You're kicking people's ass.
Yeah. Well, that moment you said you felt disempowered, and how did that? What went through your mind? What was going through your mind?
Well, at first I thought, how could I experience this? And then at the same time, I felt a whole bunch of emotions. Like I felt angry. I wasn't sure who to blame. And then I think later on when I got home, I thought, what if I try something different? Okay, like I'll still wear the mask because I believe the fact that it helps.
Yeah.
But instead of wearing a surgical mask, what if I dress myself up as a ninja? Literally black, black hoodie with the mask, wear all black and go into the supermarket and see if I get the same reaction. And I didn't.
That's
not
interesting.
not a murmur of corona. People kind of looked at me, but they looked away. But it wasn't like scared. It was more like, oh, I better not offend her because she might kick my ass. So I felt like a bit like a superhero at this very moment. This ninja walking into the aisles buying her shopping, and no one dares to say anything. And yeah, I felt okay.
So this mask, I mean, as you said, I think in many countries around the world, China, Vietnam, countries that have experienced kind of the what do you call it? What's the word?
Lockdown and everything.
No, not lockdown, but you know when the environment pollution. That's the word I was thinking. Pollution. When there's so much pollution out there, people have been wearing masks for such a long time. The whole concept of wearing masks in Australia is quite new, isn't it?
They look at you really weird. Like I remember, like a couple of years ago, just wearing a mask was really foreign.
Yeah.
And people would look at you weird.
Like as if you're sick, or you got
Yeah.
some sort of disease, terminal disease. But really, it's not.
It's so common. Yeah, you go to Hong Kong and Asian countries, like it's a common practice.
But I think the mask is a barrier.
Mm.
It's another barrier, and I wonder, you know, being Asian looking, that's already a barrier, and then another mask is another barrier. So it's a double barrier, and you know, for people who are already consciously or unconsciously discriminating you because of the skin, your skin, the color of the eyes, whatever. That is really an identifying kind of item, you know, that makes you more the double edge of being.
It says different things about your heritage and what you should be or shouldn't be.
I wonder what do you think we should educate the community in terms of how to behave and how to interact with people at this time?
Well, for me, with that experience, I mean, once I put it on my Facebook feed, a lot of people either said to me, don't worry, ignore it. Other people will be like, why didn't you say something? Another person will be like, why didn't you just hit them? like, I can't do illegal things in Australia. No, I can't do that. But I think what it made me realize was that the most simplest and basic thing I could do was, you know what? Subvert it. Reinvent the wheel, play on it, and go out there again and stand your ground and be strong and be assertive. Because once you put yourself out there in a particular image, like the whole dressing up as a ninja, people are like, what?
Yeah.
At the same time, like, oh, she's a ninja.
I love seeing the
Sounds
humor
dangerous.
in things. Like if that happened to me,
Yeah.
I'd be like, if the kid's going Corona, I'll be Corona, Corona, and start making a song or a TikTok dance or something. Corona.
Yeah. Why
Yeah,
not?
that's what we should have.
I know, and that's the beauty.
Give
of
me a Corona, give me a lime.
Exactly. I think we need to find more creative ways to
have
address
to, don't
this.
you? You know, but that's on that personal side. You know, that is something that has impacted you. I mean, you also have a business, a filmmaking business, Phoenixeye, and we kind of got that in the background there. How has COVID-19 really impacted you?
Gosh, like I think pretty much within a week we lost like half a dozen jobs.
Wow.
You know, and I had to quickly downsize. But at the same time, like with my colleagues that are part of Phoenixeye, because we've got quite a sizable team, find ways to help them cope as well. And at the same time, I had to quickly really catch up on what other ways that Phoenixeye can survive this and go online. And we're looking into green screen, live videos and all that stuff to keep up with how we can keep going. But at the same time, like, you know, we still need movies. We still need films. So creativity, storytelling, we still have get-togethers online on Zoom to discuss a lot of the future of what kind of narratives we want to create in Australia with Asian faces or with people of colour. So I think in that sense, we're still going ahead. But of course, when it comes to the bread and butter, that's sort of been quite heavily impacted.
That's a really good point about you have that opportunity to basically set the stage and the tone of what people can view, because nowadays more and more people are at home. They're consuming a lot more content, not just on Netflix and mainstream TV, but like online, like YouTube and everything like that. And because of this coronavirus, it's obviously set new avenue, a new revenue stream for you as well.
And I think usually what we usually do as a team at Phoenixeye, because we're quite a small team, but we're able to do a quick turnaround time in terms of a lot of our action short films. Now with the coronavirus, I can't have my team around. So now we're looking into green screen. We can't go to locations. We can't be outdoors. How do we create really good green screen to create narratives around that? So that's something at the moment we're investigating quite vigorously in our downtime.
And you're saying that, obviously projects got taken off, or got kind of shut down. What was your bread and butter? Like, what were you guys doing, and how was that? How was that stopped?
I think with Phoenixeye, we've been approached a lot to do documentaries, social health messaging for the government, but in a more creative way, and that bread and butter allowed us to pretty much do our creative stuff, like the action stuff that we want to do. Because I feel like internationally, when it comes to feature filmmaking or movie making, we don't really have a platform. And especially there's a lot of Asians in Australia, but yet there's no action films coming out at all. Ever since, I think, in the 1980s, The Man from Hong Kong, and that was it.
Right.
And we know we've got a huge population. 30% is overseas. Why aren't we seeing movies made with people of colour? And made not in a victimized way, in a way that is cool, edgy, genred. So pretty much Phoenixeye, my vision for Phoenixeye is we want to do those types of things.
Yeah.
But
Is Australia ready for that though?
well,
Well, I mean, Crazy Rich Asians really made it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
yeah, that was
did.
unexpected as well. They kind of that was actually planned for Netflix. And
Was
they,
it?
Yeah,
I didn't know
they
that.
didn't think it was going to be a big deal, and it did.
Mm.
So I think that I'm putting my bet down if I keep on going. And sometimes it is quite difficult, but if I keep on going, I'll get there
Yeah.
with my team.
Yep.
Why is it that? So you mentioned with 30% are born overseas or have a parent born overseas. I think it's almost 50% now. There's so many Asians out there, but why aren't they pursuing these creative avenues?
Yeah.
Like I guess like everyone has their own interpretation of this, but I wonder what's your view on that?
Well, I think it's also there's a whole bunch of reasons. A lot of times, the people at the networks are non-people of color, and to be honest, I've worked for some of these networks, and it's not really comfortable working with them because sometimes they see they might utilize your culture to be able to get into certain stories.
Oh, tokenism.
Yeah, tokenism, and then at the same time, you're like. Or you're steered to your career can only be like this. I think we spoke ages ago about this.
Yeah. Look, I think the lack of visibility and voices across our mainstream institutions, as we've had discussed this over the years, Maria, it's the reason why Dawn exists, and I suppose it's the reason why Phoenixeye also exists, in order to drive more content around feature films that would represent diversity, and especially Asian Australian actors and actresses, and that's what you're driving, isn't it? And I think that, going to your question, Kathy, I think, that there are not many Asian Australians who are probably wanting to be actors and actresses either.
I mean, I wanted to.
So
I did drama in school.
I think every Asian, we're a closet like action hero. Like we want to act. We've got a
well, I don't
closet
know. I'm
performer
petrified
in
of
us.
acting.
And I've over the years, like with Phoenixeye, we've ran a lot of training programs and also workshops, and we've discovered that even people who are in their 50s are returning to acting or starting acting because during their high school they decided not to pursue that because it wasn't.
Their parents probably told them, no, you cannot be
Exactly.
an actor, you can't be a creator, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer. The doctors now probably, the health system, but doctor, lawyers, accountant,
Engineer.
But only because if you look on Australian TV, like how many Asians do we see?
No.
And personally for me, I don't know how many prostitutes I played, how many migrant,
Gangster.
how the same types of characters, and like I was on one show playing a mother running across the airport and giving my baby away, and I did a really good job. I was super dramatic. And then another channel, hired me for the same role for another show. And I'm like, is this the highlight of my career? Some people are like, oh yeah, good job, Maria. You got one role, mother carrying a baby, giving it to a white person, and the other show the same thing. Good job. I'm like, no, it's not the good job. I want to diversify my roles.
It shows one narrative, doesn't it? Yeah. So just speaking about that, recently the movie Hustlers with J-Lo as the lead kind of the female character. So it's basically a girl power film. And I think when you first look at it, it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome, good chick flick. But then Constance Wu was playing the same sort of stereotype character in which she was, I think, a stripper or something like that. So it just reminded me of that film in like you can be all girl power and everything like that, but don't fall into all the stereotypes because Hollywood films will reinforce that.
But it's hard because as an artist, like as an actor, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to play the stereotypes, but I need to pay the bills.
Yes, and if that's the only roles that get offered, what do you do?
Mm.
So have there been moments when those roles get offered, the stereotypical roles get offered, that you think, okay, I want to really shift this, but at this point in time, this is what I have to do?
I think for me, what I usually do is with these stereotype roles, I play it really, really good. I get the attention that I should, and then with the money that I make, and then I finance my little projects. That's the only way I can break out.
Because you got that role in on Channel 10.
Yes, Street Smart.
Street Smart.
Yeah.
You were the.
And that's actually playing my mum because I originally made a short film.
Have you seen it? I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's an amazing series with Andy Chu. And he who plays the husband,
Yes,
and
he
you're
plays
and you're the wife.
The tiger wife.
The tiger
'cause
wife.
all Asian women are scary.
Yeah, that's right. And very, very kind of controlling. I don't know about that, but if that's true.
So untrue.
Does your mum know that you were playing her?
It was funny because I told her about it. She's like, that's not me. I'm not like that. I'm like, Ma, that's not me. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, Mom, but it's kind of, I borrowed bits and pieces of you.
And then exaggerated it.
But she's like, that's just not her. But I think for her, she sees herself as empowered. Yet I guess for me, I see her as in a different light. But isn't that cool that our Asian mums could embrace it? Like this strength, this tiger lady strength and be cool about it.
But then was that a stereotypical role, do you think?
See, that's the thing. When I played that character, I didn't feel like I played a character. I felt like I justified myself being controlling, being like the way I was with my husband. There was a reason. I didn't want to get him to get into trouble. I didn't want him to go around goofing around. So I had to put the iron fist down. So for me, it wasn't really playing a stereotype. I felt like I was really in the character. And it's hard to say because people go, that's a stereotype role. But I'm like, but I feel like I was it. So, it's a
But
bit
then
of a
just
fine
on
line.
that, there's also the submissive wife as well, which is the other end.
That's right.
And that's characterized by Japanese culture. Whereas I find, Southeast Asian or Chinese, they're more of the tiger mum. So you can either play one thing or the other.
I don't think I'm a tiger mum.
I'm not a tiger mum.
No, neither am I. I'm not a tiger mum.
I'm not a good mum.
You said it really softly, like, I'm not a tiger mum. And then everything else
I'm a
is
bad mum.
like, bad mum.
So look, obviously there's an opportunity now for you to look at how you can really pivot your business, yeah? What are you putting in place now? I mean, obviously for the creative industry, there are many challenges happening, taking place at the moment, like everything else. But I think particularly hard hit, for the creative industry. Are you talking with your colleagues? What are you guys talking about? What are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much talking to them all the time because now a lot of them are not working like a lot of hours at Phoenixeye. A lot of them at home, isolated. So a lot of the women that I have a part of Phoenixeye, they've gone through quite a bit. Like they've gone through, mental health issues, and I feel like I want hope that they don't fall into that again. So I'm always there to, give them some advice or hear them out or help them develop small creative projects in their homes. And that's what I'm doing at home myself as well. So I'm starting to put the green screen up, film things, collaborate with my mom, my dad, and plants and whatever. Like I think it's so important to to really be empowered that even in your own space, you can still create content
Yeah.
and find audiences. And I think that's always the fundamental. So a lot of the creatives at Phoenixeye is that even if you don't have a lot of tools, you've got yourself. And I think that's important to be reminded that you've got that to work with.
Yeah.
And I think you just touched upon it, and I think this is what we talk about often on Dawncast is the mental health. In the current climate, I think I keep on going back to that because how important it is for us to be mindful of how we produced and the content from the Dawncast podcast, being mindful of people's mental health and not to trigger them into a traumatic experience. And I think social distancing is posing to be a challenge, I think, or physical distancing. As human beings, we are we're a social animal, and I don't know how, even though great technology is allowing us to obviously stay connected, as you said, and work together, but if you are a human to human being, it's going to change the way we behave and operate in the future. So that is, look, I know that we will come through this. This too shall pass. I keep on saying this too shall pass. But I think in the meantime, that step is to ensure that people stay connected, and people are having conversations. Ensuring that we have conversations with one another, isn't it?
Yeah. At the same time, I think it's also a good time to reflect. Like, even though the social distancing, I do feel something does cause fear amongst people. But with that moment of, like, even for me today, I went for a run at 5 a.m. Like, I've got a neighborhood. Really I've got cats having meetings. I thought, and it was a bit of nostalgia because it was back in like probably 20 years ago that I walked down my neighborhood. Nowadays,
the milk bar, the local milk bar to get frogs.
Like all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, I realized how disconnected I was to the physical plane. I'm so used to online stuff and moving so quickly that I think this is a good chance for people to also slow down and sort of prioritize what's important to them.
So, look, guys, I don't know if you're tuning in, if you're listening, we've got Maria Tran here and discussing about, obviously, COVID-19 and the impact on us, individually. And, Maria just shared a story, from that experience in the supermarket. Have you gone back to the supermarket since then?
Oh, yes, in my ninja outfit.
Yeah.
So what advice do you think with people? I mean, look, you know what? Reading your story, I'm now a bit slightly paranoid to put on a mask.
But you can create your own mask. How creative you can sew your own little mask. Like, there's so many ways you can reappropriate the mask. With a new identity, like a superhero costume.
What kind of identity? What kind of superhero can I take
on?
The
salsa queen or something.
With a mask?
Frilly mask.
A frilly mask. A red frilly mask.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's right. So, it has made me think. And I think what we're trying to say here is for people to be so mindful, isn't it? I mean, what are you kind of asking the audience to think and to do, when they see somebody wearing a mask?
What am I asking them to? Well, at the moment, I'm sure they'll think and do what they'll do. But I think the person who's wearing a mask, you have the power. You have the power to disrupt that, right? So put it on your mask. Like, design your mask the way you want to put out there in the world. So
get your sewing kit out. Go to Spotlight if it's still open.
Yeah, still open. I've checked online.
Oh, are you a bit of a crafter?
No, I used to be, but I had to do a bit of searching for some material. So,
okay.
So I went on and I said, Spotlight was still open, so that's good. But I think we're seeing a lot of businesses closing, so it'll be interesting to see how all of these retail stores will stay open, into the foreseeable future. So what's your any project that you think you're going to create while you're isolating yourself from the rest of the world?
Well, I'm about to release a short film called Tiger Cop Toilet Paper Hero. It's a short film, 80s style fight scene with toilet paper. So that's going to come out online. And also finishing my feature film called Echo 8. So that's an action film set in Fairfield. So
Okay.
that's probably going to finish at the end of this year. So good timing to be on the computer.
Tell
and
us a bit
edit.
about Echo 8.
Echo 8. It's just it's a story about a woman who has amnesia, and then later on she finds out that she was pretty much kidnapped when she was a young girl. And when she goes back in time, she realizes her family, there's a point in her life where her family fell apart.
Right.
Her migrant family fell apart, and then she got kidnapped, and then she grew up in this sort of like this underground hit world.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a bit of Taken, but set in a house.
Wow. Did you write it?
I had Elizabeth H. Fu, my sister,
Okay.
and it's interesting because she writes a lot of stuff over in the States, but not in Australia. So I'm hoping that this could be her debut here in local Fairfield.
Wow.
Australia.
And where's going to be shown? Where's this distributed?
No, that's the exciting thing. We've just I decided to go, you know what? Just do it. Just do it. Write it. Let's make it.
Yep.
And then put it together, and then we'll find people who'll back it. Because once they see the quality, because I feel like the quality of it is quite different. It's quite unique, and it doesn't feel Australian. It feels quite international, and the fact that all the cast is Asian.
Wow.
You know, so it's got a very different vibe.
And what is the percentage of female to male?
Two,
Gender
two
quota?
strong female characters. Gabby Chan, who's this 50-year-old lady who plays my mum, and she has a fight scene with me. Because the whole story is that she's my character is sent back to kill this lady, not knowing she's actually her mum.
Right.
That's been looking for the daughter. So it's very trippy, quite psychological. Set in one house, so it's a very low budget, so it works out.
Wow. Okay. So we'll be looking out for that.
Yep.
And any more other? So those are the two at the moment.
You know, hopefully those projects will make a mark, and then the next thing you know, we'll bring Hollywood, or we'll create our own
Hollywood here.
Hollywood in Western Sydney. That's my aim.
Cabra Hood.
Cabra Hood. Yeah.
Fairfield Hood. And how are you looking after yourself?
Having a routine. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to start my 5 a.m. runs.
Oh, you're in the 5 a.m. club.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
Only today.
Right.
Okay.
Because, you know, I like the cats I see, and, you know, stuff like that. I think every single day I learn something more about myself. Like, oh, wow, waking up at 5 a.m. is great. Oh, wow, I do like my coffee like this. Oh, wow, I do love plants. And I've just finished doing Reiki as well, which is a very weird sort of esoteric thing that I'm doing. But, hey, expanding the horizons, right, by doing multiple things.
So keeping yourself, getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I don't know that if I can do that. I stay up quite late, sometimes sitting at the laptop working till about midnight. But yeah, so look, thank you so much for your time, Maria. It's great to have Maria here on Dawncast podcast. Look, I think at this, you know, in these times like this, make sure that you're kind to one another, most importantly. Make sure that you're kind and compassionate to others as well. And I suppose, you know, people who are ignorant and who would be children that are ignorant, if their parents can really obviously educate your children to be kind and you know, to others in this kind of climate, that will be great. Because obviously coronavirus will not discriminate, and you don't know who will get it. You don't know, you know, who will be impacted. The important thing now is to ensure that our community is going to be protected, you know, in a measured way as well, and that make sure we don't react and panic and behave kind of, what do you call it?
Yeah, just be nice to each other.
So thank you very much for joining Dawncast. Please do subscribe to us. We are trying to build a media platform that will give voice, that will bring insights into the community on current issues, such as currently about COVID-19, without triggering any kind of trauma, and having a genuine discussion from experts, from people with lived experiences, and to inform you, to keep you update. So please do subscribe, because we need at least 1,000 views and 4,000 hours of watch, but 1,000 clicks in order for us to have these news platforms. So we look forward to seeing you at the next conversation.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fun.